And I said, oh, this is compassion. Hi you guys, and welcome back to my channel, y'all. So as you know, before we get started, the first thing we have to do is pray. I'm gonna insert my prayer here, and we will know who I am, why I'm here, and what my goal is for the video. Now that we rebuked all bad energy and any bad vibes, we're gonna get straight into the video. So I'm still currently reading Isaiah, and I can sense that this is maybe where people tend to get lost in the Bible, right? Where they're just like, all right, this is not for me, because it gets strict. A lot of things is happening in Isaiah. There's a lot of new information. There's a lot of new names being mentioned. A lot of new details. Isaiah is the introduction to Jesus, God's wrath. So there's a lot of things occurring in Isaiah, and I can definitely see the challenges people have where they'll just end they research in Isaiah because it can be scary and intimidating. So what I thought about to share with you all is, if you get into Isaiah and you start to read and it becomes really challenging for you to understand, is because when you get to Isaiah, God is making it aware for you to start to do more research. In order to understand the Bible, you need to know history. You need to be able to educate yourself on history, because when you learn about history, you learn about all things that is in the Bible. It makes things come together, and it brings things into perspective for some of the prophetic information that is in the Bible. So I said, okay, I've been in the library for a week now, and I have not left the library. I've been educating myself. I believe I have a goal to do 6 books a week. So I did 6 books this week, and I'm so proud of myself. And I'm like, this is where people get lost in the Bible. It's because they're reading the Bible without history. So as you're reading the Bible, you're gonna have to, God is gonna force you to learn more about yourself, and also to learn more about history, your history, Black history, all things history. You're gonna have to learn about it. And as I started to learn about my history, I started to understand the Bible a lot more. And I'm saying Isaiah is also, it talks a lot about the wrath of God. But in that wrath is birth compassion. And I said, oh, this is compassion. This is the true meaning of compassion. So, I'm always like gaining wisdom and knowledge from the stories that's in the Bible. And some stories is gonna have more details than others, right? And if you're missing or lacking details, you have to go and find it. You have to persevere through whatever information you're given, okay? Until you understand it in your way. So I want to just read a little bit. I want to go straight into Isaiah 5 and 6, chapter 5 and 6. And I'm going to start here. It says, in chapter 5, verse 24, it says, therefore, as the fire devours the stumbles and the flame consumes the chaff, so their root will be the rottenness, and their bosoms will ascend like dust, because they have rejected the law of the Lord of hosts and despised the word of the Holy One in Israel. So that is telling you, you reject the law, you reject the Bible, there will be consequences. There will be consequences, and you're probably facing those consequences in your life right now, dealing with unbalanced souls and dealing with unbalanced people that is disrupting your soul and your peace and your energy. So you're facing those challenges right now in your life. So yeah, I'm gonna go to Isaiah. We still in chapter 5, but now we at 25, and it says, therefore the anger of the Lord is aroused against his people. He has stretched out his hands against them and stricken them. This is the wrath of God. And their hills tremble. Their cuirasses were as refuse in the midst of the streets, for all his anger is not turned away. So for all his anger is not turned away, meaning God, you gonna reap what you sow. You will be punished. But here's the important part that struck out to me. It goes on to say, but his hand is stretched out still. His hand is stretched out still. So it says it multiple times in the Bible that, you will feel the wrath of God, but his hand will still be stretched out. So that's grace. That's compassion, right? It's like your children when you're so fired up about them not listening to you or obeying you or doing things that they should be doing because you told them 100,000 times to do and they still didn't do it. You upset in that moment. You feel discouraged in that moment. You may feel angry or different emotions are going through you, but you still love them. That's like you tell your child, don't touch the fire. And children are extremely curious, so they still touch the fire. They get burned and they like, mommy, come and help me. And you still are there to nurture them and love them and care for them. So you're gonna feel the wrath of God if you are not obeying to the law. You're gonna feel the wrath. If you're not obeying to the commandments, you're gonna feel the wrath. However, his compassion his hand will still be lifted out for you to get it right. Because that's the goal, is to get it right and to stay on a path of righteousness and a path of God, okay? So now compassion. I like to keep things simple here because things don't have to be so complicated. This is where we get lost in life, is when we complicate things. Compassion is simple. It's 3 words in the dictionary and it reads like this. Compassion is pity. Pity is sympathetic, and sympathetic is to feel sorry for. Sorrow, pain, something to be regretted. Regretted is mourn or feel sorry for. So it's sympathetic or sorrow for something to be mourned, right? And then sorrow. Sorrow is deep sadness or distress, suffering, misfortune, great need of something, right? So God knows that we in a great need of peace, that we in a great need of healing, that we in a great need of a safe place mentally, right? Mentally, to be in a safe place mentally is to be one with your soul, one with your spirit, right? So compassion, to he pity. I know God pity us because he's like, I just don't understand. It's like when you're looking at your children, they keep doing and they continue to make mistakes, and you say to yourself, I don't understand. I've showed you all the proof. I showed you all the, I gave you the blueprint, and instead you do the complete opposite of what I gave to you. And it's I don't get it. And it's the same thing I'm sure God is saying about us, his children. I don't get it. I gave you the blueprint, the path, everything you need in life. I don't get it. But you know what? He still pities us because he knows that we are in need of self-improvement and self-healing and self-guiding. And you cannot be guided if you refuse to have knowledge. So then sorrow is deep sadness and distress, misfortune, and in need of something. So God still has compassion for you. God still wants you to want him and need him. This is what God wants from this is what God is here for. He's always lifting out his hand. Even if he has to show you his wrath, his hand is always lifted for us to grab hold to and to never let go. So I want to go to chapter 14, verse 20, right? 14, verse All right, so I want to go to chapter 14, verse 20, and it reads, "You will not be joined with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land and slain your people." So it's just talking about, again, God wrath, and he's talking about evildoers and evilness and unbalance in the world, right? And again, you're gonna feel the wrath, and if you feel the wrath and you still refuse to give it to God, it gets worse for you, right? So first is the warning, then it's the wrath, and from that wrath, you either go to God or you flee from God, and when you flee from God, it gets worse, right? So this passage is saying you will not be joined with them in burial. You will not be joined with the holiness in burial, because you didn't make wise decisions in your wrath, right? Because you have destroyed your land and slain your people. This is talking again about evil. But here's the important thing. It says the brood of evildoers shall never be named, right? So you probably no longer hear, I don't discuss certain energies on this channel because I'm not going to give light to it. There's no need for me to give light to it. So I used to say beast, because in the Bible, it gives the beast a lot of abbreviations, right? It gives him man, it names him as man, beast, sea monster, creature. There's a lot of different, because God is funny, he has humor. There's a lot of different names for the beast, right? So I will not give life to the beast, but I will say unbalanced energy. So from now on, when you hear me say unbalanced energy, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm speaking of, and the cadence of the conversations will stick to unbalanced energy. That's what we calling it. That's what we giving it, and it goes towards the beast, and again, his staff. Before I said his followers, his worshipers, I'm still gonna continue to say that. However, the Bible refers to it as his staff, right? So when I say unbalanced energy, I'm referring to the beast and his staff. Easy, right? So we know that God has compassion for us. We understand that. I'm giving you the verses, I'm giving you the information here. God will still, even through the wrath, God will still have compassion to you. So in that wrath, do not get discouraged. And this is what I'm learning, is because sometimes I'm like, God, I'm not perfect, and God don't expect us to be perfect. But in that wrath, you need to find peace with God. You need to understand that God will still have his arm out for us. He will continue to pity us and have sorrow for us. He will give us grace and compassion. So you do not have to continue to go through the pain. You just have to find what fuels you. And I said this in other videos, and I'm going to continue to say this, is find what fuels you. My fuel is the Bible. Your fuel could be knowledge. Your fuel could be education. Your fuel could be good energy, good vibes. Whatever your fuel is, find it, stay there, and that's where you'll grow. It's just like a plant. It needs to be watered, nurtured, and tended to. So find what nurtures you, what tenders to you, what has compassion for you, what has pure love and peace for you. And allow it to fuel you, so that way you can continue on to the righteous path that God wants for us. So, with all those things said, thank you for watching my video. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And we on the road to 200, okay? Share this video if this is any sort of help to you. Any sort of support and encouragement to you, let me know. Let your girl know if she is doing her thing, okay? Thank you, and whatever you do today, make sure you do it with kindness. Peace.